Hey all, and welcome back to Hot Air, the show where we talk about what is hot and what is messy and what is really going on in the world. I'm Josh, your host, and happy 4th of July, I guess. Today is the 4th of July, unless you're listening to this not on the 4th of July, then it is not the 4th of July. And while everyone is out here barbecuing and lighting fireworks, celebrating freedom, I cannot help but think about all the ways that this country is acting completely un-American right now. I'm Canadian. I immigrated here so that I could live the dream, and trust me, for a while I was living the dream. It doesn't really feel that way as much anymore. I've been thinking a lot about the founding documents of this country that I was not taught in school in Canada, but they talk about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. But is that really what is happening today? Doesn't feel like it. I've been a little bit conflicted about whether or not I should even celebrate the 4th this year. I was supposed to go to an event that, after thinking about it a little bit deeper, I felt might be heavily Republican and very straight. And so I removed myself from that situation, which I'm pretty proud of myself because I will have FOMO. We were going to be on yachts, but it's better for my mental health, and I can't talk shit about the people that hate people like me and then spend some time with them or spend time with people that potentially might be okay with hating the queer community. So while I was trying to balance, should I celebrate? Should I not celebrate? There are some great things about this country. The great things are that a lot of people are standing up for what they believe in. A lot of people are supporting the queer community. There are, of course, a lot of people that are not, but when you weigh the negative against the positive, it's about 50-50 split. So I am going to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate with my gay friends this year. I'm going to celebrate the 4th. I'm going to celebrate all the things that I've overcome in life, immigrating to this country, and coming here from Canada to live a dream without an apartment, without a job, without money, and making shit work. And now I am a green card holder. And that is part of the pursuit of happiness, freedom for all, the opportunities that are here, and not to mention the beautiful beaches and sunshine in California. But that is why people come to this country. And I mean, oh God, I could keep going, but we're going to get into all of this in the episode. But whether you're celebrating or you're not celebrating, I've got some really shitty things to share with you, and I've got some very positive things to share with you. So let's just get into it. Let's hit it. Part 1. What's happening that isn't freedom? First, let's run through some of the headlines. I know nobody wants to do it, but they're out there. You can't miss them. Let's do a quick little recap. The current administration ramped up deportations, and ICE raids are tearing families apart. People who have lived here for decades. That's what people don't get. People have lived here 30, 40, 50 years. They're being forced out of their homes. They're being forced out of their communities and being forced out of the lives, the only lives that they really know, all in the name of border security. But what happened to the promise of freedom, refuge, and opportunity that is being stripped away? LGBTQ plus rights are under attack, as we all know, as I mentioned on almost every episode, with book bans, drag bans, bathroom bans. States are even legislating queer people out of public existence, despite the Constitution's promise of equal protection under the law. Bodily autonomy is being stripped away as states continue to limit or ban abortion access, ignoring the fundamental right to privacy and control over one's own body. And voting access still being restricted in many states to keep marginalized communities from having their voices heard. If these are not direct violations of the Constitution's core promises, I don't know what is. And I'm going to talk a lot about the Constitution, but again, being from Canada, we're not taught this in school. But one thing that I constantly think about is people's opinion on guns and how the Constitution has, whatever amendment it is. I didn't do any research about guns in the amendment, but how we have a right to bear arms. But bearing arms, those arms have changed. We don't need machine guns. We don't need AK-47s or whatever the number is. We don't need those powerful guns. When people had the right to bear arms, it was one of those like single friggin' bullet guns or that you had to reload every single time, like one of those shitty old wooden rifles. The Constitution, I don't know how this would work, but needs an update. So when I'm talking about the Constitution, and it gets a bit contradictory because I'm like, nobody needs guns. You don't need guns. Like, yes, we need mental health help, but we also, if we had no guns, nobody would go on a shooting rampage. If guns were not accessible to everyone, if I couldn't walk down the street and buy a gun, then nobody's going to shoot up a church, a school, a mall. Nobody's going to kill somebody that is working for the government as a politician, which we saw happen in the news earlier. So I'm of the opinion it's like, can't we like switch that verbiage up a little bit? But then that would open a can of worms. And people are just going to start changing shit. But anyway, that was a rampage. I don't even know if that made sense. So we're going to move on. Before we move on, I'm going to hydrate with almost straight up vodka. Part 2. The Constitution versus reality. Let's do a wee little breakdown, shall we? The Constitution says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Obviously, we know men, women, they, them, everything in between exists now, but in reality, not all people are treated equally. Queer kids cannot even read books that reflect their identity. Trans kids are being forcibly detransitioned in some states. Immigrants are demonized rather than welcomed. And the list goes on and on and on. Equality, hard to come by, my friends. The Constitution says, oh my God, I don't even know. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. But reality says that people are being detained indefinitely in ICE facilities with little to no due process, or forced to wait in unsafe conditions at the border. The Constitution says, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. But reality says, educators, librarians, and performers are being silenced, threatened, or fired simply for sharing queer stories or performing in drag. So if America wants to brag about freedom, it's time to actually live up to it. Freedom for all. Part 3. What does freedom really mean? Today, while the fireworks go off and the patriotic Instagram stories start rolling on out and everyone's wearing red, white, and blue, I invite you to ask yourself this. What does freedom actually mean to you? Who has it and who doesn't? And what are you willing to do to help others achieve it? Because true patriotism is not a blind celebration. It's not running around on the beach with sparklers in your hand and wearing red, white, and blue and getting wasted in the pool. It's holding our country accountable to its promises and refusing to settle until everyone gets to live with dignity, equality, and safety. It's fun to celebrate, but it's going to be very hard to celebrate if we don't all have equal rights and freedom. Now, I know this is all very heavy because it should be. These are important topics, but I do also want to take a moment to celebrate a lot of the incredible people and the movements proving that real American spirit isn't just fireworks and flag emojis. It's protests, it's organizing, it's fighting for freedom for everyone. And that's what I'm choosing to celebrate this 4th of July. So, part 4, the positive part of freedom in 2025. Let's start with the No Kings protest. The No Kings rallies swept across the country, organized to fight against the extreme overreach of the Supreme Court and this administration's attack on fundamental rights. These protests were a direct reminder that America was founded on the idea of no kings, no rulers, and no unchecked power. This number is staggering. Over 4 to 6 million people participated nationwide with rallies in every single state, including massive turnouts in DC, New York, Chicago, LA, and Atlanta, and San Diego. San Diego was off the chain. People showed up with signs reading, "We the people" means all the people, and democracy, not theocracy. Theocracy, that's a hard word to say. It was a powerful moment of reminding our leaders that power ultimately belongs to us. And I think we forget that a lot. We vote. We're the ones who pay taxes. We're the ones who put you in the positions you're in. So you work for us. And then there was the Hands Off March. Earlier this year, 3 to 5 million people across the nation gathered for the Hands Off Our Bodies March, demanding reproductive freedom and bodily autonomy for all. Over 450 events took place across every single state. Talk about showing up. From teenagers to grandmothers, from queer organizers to clergy members, people marched to say that our bodies are not political battlegrounds. Our rights are not up for debate. And it's not just marches. There are incredible people speaking out every single day. People like Brandon Wolf, who I slid in his DMs the other day, so we're going to try and get him on here. He's a survivor of the Pulse nightclub shooting and a tireless LGBTQ+ activist. He continues to speak out against hate while pushing for gun reform and queer protections nationwide. And I hope, fingers crossed, I get the opportunity to talk to him. And Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, using her platform daily to fight for immigrants, queer rights, economic justice, and environmental protections. And my favorite thing she has ever said is, "Oh, the girls are fighting, aren't they?" That was my fucking favorite. Insane. Hilarious. But this is serious. Okay, focus. Indigenous organizers across the country are fighting for land rights, clean water, and the protection of sacred sites. Real freedom that goes far beyond what's written on paper. There's also youth-led movements like March for Our Lives and Fridays for Future continuing to show up, organize, and call out performative politics, reminding us that the next generation is not waiting for permission to demand change. I think the next generation is so driven, so loud. I mean, I guess I am part of that next generation, but I'm even thinking people younger than me, people in their 20s, I feel like they are really starting to stand up. And those are the people that I am going to celebrate on the 4th of July, the future of the country. I'm not going to celebrate the past. So, yes, today is a messy day. But when I see these protests, these voices, these movements, I try to remember that that is what it means to be American. That is what freedom looks like in action. And that is what gives me hope that we're not done fighting for each other. People are still showing up to support causes that they may not necessarily be a part of. Allies to all different communities. People are still showing up. That's what's keeping me going. Because when the government forgets its promises, it's the people who remind them who they work for. And that will conclude today's 4th of July episode, your hot flash minisode of Hot Air. So thank you all for tuning in. However you are celebrating today, stay safe, stay bold, stay gay, stay loud, stay proud. I hope one day we will all experience equal amounts of freedom. Full episodes of Hot Air come out every Tuesday. Hot Flash minisodes come out every Friday, like today. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and unfortunately Twitter, which I barely even use anyway, @_HotAirPod. You can visit my website at hotairpodwithjoshuarobert.com. You can also submit your stories there. There is a contact page. Anything you feel that falls in line with all the topics that I have been discussing, queer rights, activism, just stories about coming out, about expressing yourself, about learning, about growth, about therapy, about relationships, all the things that we all have in common. So I'm very much looking forward to helping share your stories and making sure that we all feel that we're not alone. So anywho, enjoy the fireworks, put on your red, white, and blue, but make sure you are celebrating for the right cause. And until then, I will see you next Tuesday.